Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Peter Lindstrom, Chair of the Environment Committee. We have a quorum and it's 4 o'clock or a minute or so afterwards, so let's get started. Welcome. We've got an exciting agenda before us, so without objection, we can move forward. The first item are 2 sets of minutes from January 23rd and February 13. Any changes to those minutes? And is there a motion to approve?
I'll move both of them.
All right, and a second? Second. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay? Carries. And that takes us to our consent agenda where we have one item, 2024-43, purchase of bulk ferric chloride. And this is contract 23P153. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay? Carries. Moving right along to our non-consent agenda, and the first item up is 2024-54. This is a master contract for engineering services. I was going to say Miss Heflin, but welcome. Mr. Edlund, welcome back.
And good afternoon. That's close enough, good enough. Okay. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Chair, committee members. For the record, my name is Craig Edlund. I am the Assistant General Manager for Treatment Services at ES. And I am here today to present to you the business item 2024-54, Master Contracts for Engineering Services, Electrical and Steam Turbine Generation. And this is really a rejection of the proposals. Okay, and a little summary around this solicitation and why we're here today. We did do a request for proposals for these services. That was issued July 6th of 2023. And one of the reasons that we're here tonight is this did not have a disadvantaged business enterprise goal. This RFP did go out without a goal. So there was a 0% goal for DVE. And we did receive 3 proposals on September 12th in 2023. A little evaluation summary. The evaluation panel did follow the Brooks Act. So the two-section process in the Brooks Act, and selected proposers based on best value to the council. And we did find 3 of those proposed prices were fair and reasonable. At this point, the omission of the DVE goal was discovered through looking at the business item to be actually brought to the council. Due to this discovery, we are recommending that we reject all 3 proposals and that we go take this solicitation back out for RFP with the proper DVE goal. So our proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to reject all proposals for contract 23P048. And I can take questions at this time.
Questions? Dr. Carter.
Yeah, I have a question. How often is this common, or is this like something that happens once in a while? Or?
Mr. Chair, council members, this is very unusual. So unusual that this is the only time that we know that this has actually happened. So there is a technical glitch within the SharePoint system and how the forms for the SIM or the contract initiation memo work. And there is a workflow that should be going through. Through a glitch in that technology, which I will say IS is looking at and is going through, actually hitting a button twice within a certain period of time can bypass the next approver. So what happened is that button did get pressed twice. It can happen accidentally. And it bypassed OEEO. So they did not have a chance to actually review the SIM and put the DB goal in. That made it through the process and walked through that entire process all the way through the RFP. So as we got to the point of actually having the RFPs come back in, get ready to bring to this committee, that's when it was discovered there was a 0% DBE goal, which we should never have. So in addition to the technical glitch being looked at, we are actually also looking at the entire SIM process, how we go through this process, how we bring one through that workflow to ensure that we have the stop gaps and the milestones to ensure that this never happens again.
That was gonna be my next question, what you guys would wanna put in place to make sure that this doesn't reoccur.
And Mr. Chair, council members, I would also want to reiterate that the group that is looking at this and going through this process initiation to really take a look at the process is actually made up of procurement, OEEO, both ES, and also transit. So we have a cross-council group that is coming together to take a look at this process and also come up with any changes that we need to make.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what was the goal supposed to be instead of 0?
Based upon the work that was, this is electrical work, and also there was some specialty electrical work due to the steam turbine down at the SMB building. So I am trying to remember if I can actually tell you in a public meeting, mainly because, and that might be information I can give to you outside of this meeting, but because of it's a public meeting, and we are going to be going back out for solicitation, that might be things that I cannot tell you at this moment.
Okay.
But I can get that information to you outside this meeting, and I will guarantee that there will be a substantial and a good goal for this.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 2 questions. One, did any of the selected proposals have DBE included in their, what they submitted? That would be my first question.
Mr. Chair, committee members, no, they did not.
Okay. 2, I'd like to remind people that it's not just a computer, that multiple people touched this. And as being a vendor on the outside who have worked, this is incredibly costly to these vendors to redo this. And so you can't fix it, but they spent thousands of dollars putting these together. But I'm more concerned with the number of people who opened it up and pushed a button and approved it without possibly reading the whole RFP. And I'm just saying for myself, I still print things out and flip the pages. And so there's a quality issue here with people going through these forms. And I'd like to ask, was the DBE signature there or not even printed because it was bypassed? And if somebody looked at it and it was not filled out, multiple people saw that and it should have triggered something else. So I'm really disappointed on just the people looking at this and passing this through. I mean, if it was taken off the RFP completely and they don't see a blank, then you kind of say, okay, they might have missed it. But if you see it and we know what we're trying to do at the council, then there's real people who made mistakes here, not just the computer system.
Correct.
So just like
Mr.
to
Chair,
point that out.
council members, and especially council members Cedarburg, thank you for those comments, because those are the exact comments that we had as we came into this. And that is really the reason why this is so important for us to get those lessons learned and really find out what happened and correct that mistake so that can never happen again. which again is why we have a council-wide group
Yeah.
that is coming together to make this recommendation, and that recommended process and that process change will be going to the regional administrator who asked for us to do this and ensure that it never happens again. And we are hoping that he also shares that with the management committee and anybody else who is interested.
Because the type of project looks like this could be really filled by a lot of DBE work,
Correct.
so, as well.
Good questions. Are there other comments or questions? You are seeking a motion to reject all of the proposals for this contract.
Correct.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And that takes us to our second non-consent agenda item, which is 2024-56, Human Machine Interface, or HMI software. This is contract 22P273. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the Environment Committee. My name is Roger Rehbein. I'm an electrical engineer within the plant engineering group within Environmental Services. I've been with this agency since 1987. I'm here today to present a business item for your consideration related to procurement of what we call Human Machine Interface software, or to shorten it up, HMI software. We use this within environmental services. Our personnel use this in order to monitor and to control the wastewater processes within our system. Now, today's agenda shows that there's also an information item later, right after this, and this is Ron Coffey, who manages our process computer group. He'll be participating in that update. But this business item, this procurement is part of a larger project, which is going to be part of that information item, which will come later. But what is HMI software? Briefly, it is it's a window into what's happening inside our treatment processes. It's means by which staff can take action to change parameters within the process, to take control of it, to collect the data necessary to maintain compliance and to maintain efficiency within the process. Current system we have in place right now for software is a 30-year-old software product, and we've been using it for approximately 25 years. So it's time to update it. Next slide. Click to the next slide there. We put out a request for proposals for new HMI software in June of 2023. There was a Metropolitan Council underutilized business goal of 0% for this proposal. 5 proposals were received in late July, and the companies listed here are Inductive Automation, VT SCADA, GS Plant Optics, GE Digital, and Emerson Electric. We had an evaluation panel which consisted of 5 voting members who made recommendations, and they were all council staff. And then we also had 4 technical advisors looking at the proposals as well as subject matter experts, and that consisted of 2 environmental services staff and 2 consultant representatives. When we evaluated this proposal, the criteria we used for evaluating the proposal were the quality of the proposal, how well did they respond to our request, the qualifications of the proposer, the experience of the proposer, and then the price of the proposal. And the consensus reached by the evaluation panel, we found that the most advantageous proposal for the council would be by inductive automation. So the proposed action we want to bring to you today is that the council authorize a regional administrator to award and execute contract 22P273 with Inductive Automation to provide the software, as well as training and support services for that software in an amount not to exceed $1,106,950. So with that, we can go to questions.
Questions, please,
Is
Councilmember
this a
Sandberg.
multi-year contract
Yes, it is.
because of the service and training?
The service and training, the way that it actually would work out is approximately half of the cost of what the amount I just read would be for the actual licenses. We purchase that once and then we're good to go for that. The maintenance and support is really important for us. That's a fee we pay. And that's 20% each year on a yearly basis. That would be 20% of the initial purchase price. And they will maintain that price even if inflation kicks in. They'll say, this is what you're gonna pay for the next year. So that's really attractive. And the amount that we're paying, that we would pay with this contract would be a lot less than what we are paying right now for the current system that we have in place. So,
Nice to get all that updated.
yeah.
You said it's,
Yeah.
the software is 30 years old, and we bought it 25 years ago, roughly.
The computers that can run it.
There will be no feature upgrades to what we have now. The equipment that we want to interface it with, which was part of this larger project that we want to update you on, what we have today does not interface as well with the more modern controllers that also are part of this larger product. So it's a mature product and it's not going anywhere. It's time to take a look at it. And then the cost aspect too, of this, what it takes to service and support for that. Those are some really important drivers for why we need to do this. So.
Other questions? Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Motion's been made and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay? Carries. Thank you. And you're sticking around for the first information item, which is an update on the treatment plant PLC and HMI renewal program.
Yes. Do I just roll the next one? Oh, there it
Then
is.
it comes from the back row.
They got teed up.
There we go.
There we go.
Again, Mr. Chair, members of the Environment Committee, again, my name is Roger Rehbein. And this is Lon Coffey, the manager of the Process Computer Group within Environmental Services, who helps keep this stuff running and working well. So we're here today to give you an update on a project that we first brought to the Environment Committee's attention in September of 2022. And this project was also mentioned in a presentation last October as it related to the capital program. But looking around, there's now 5 members of this committee that weren't around in October of 2022, so we thought it was important to bring an update to this committee again, so you would be aware of what we are doing. And as I stated before, this project's related to the business item that you just acted on. So we're going to be using some acronyms here today. The term PLC is one that you'll hear a lot, and that stands for Programmable Logic Controller. And the term HMI, as we said before, stands for Human Machine Interface. They are used extensively throughout our wastewater treatment system. What exactly are they and how do we use them? I'll let Lon take over from here.
First of all, I just want to introduce myself, Mr. Chair, committee members. I am Lon Coffey, the newest Process Computer Group Manager. So I've been with the council for about 10.5 years. I think I assumed this role about 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago.
All right.
So manage the Process Computer Group. We do all the industrial control work for the 9 plants, the 9 wastewater plants, as well as regional maintenance. So all the lift station, infrastructure, we help maintain that too, so. What is a PLC? So programmable logic controller, as Roger said, it's basically just an industrial computer. It helps us control the machines and the equipment in the field, as well as automating the process, sometimes fully. PLCs monitor the status, as well as controlling everything like motors, valves, monitoring your temperatures, your flows, things like that. I actually have some here behind me that I can kind of go over those with you in a little bit. So first of all, why are we replacing the PLCs? Some of these, let me just grab it now. So brought a few visual aids so you guys can actually see what we're
We
doing.
like props.
Yes. So this is a PLC that we recently just replaced. It's about 20 years old, this model. They've been a large install base. The parts for these, as well as many of the others that we're going to be talking about, they don't offer replacement parts for them anymore. So that's a concern, right? And then as well as a lot of the times the vendors themselves just kind of drop off actually support and end of life the products. So that's where we're at. So we're going to be replacing these because just we're not going to be able to get parts for them anymore. And I don't know if in this one where we talk about this one, but so we're looking at replacing approximately 150 PLCs in 7 locations. And what we'll be wanting to replace those with, I'll grab this one too. This is the newest, one of the newer models that have actually started to install. So visually, one of the biggest things you're going to notice, size, right? So larger, smaller. So that's actually almost the same amount of I/O that this can service. So these consist of a processor. These are the I/O cards. So these cards are inputs and output cards that interface with the actual field equipment. So this is what's actually when the operator is controlling it, just talking to this PLC, it's actually telling pumps to turn on, and then we're getting feedback about whether they come on, monitoring flow. So we've actually started to put those in at 3 of the plants. We've done 2 so far at South Washington County, that's the Cottage Grove plant. And then we've actually done, when the slide was submitted, we only had 2 on there, but since then we've actually replaced 5 as of Monday at the St. Clair Valley plant. And this one was actually one of the ones that came out of the Cottage Grove plant in the influent building and got replaced with one of these models. So. All right, let's go over with that.
So if I understand correctly, just as an example, if the flow is, say it's not flowing as fast as we need it to flow, there's sensors that recognize that. And if that, with the help of those gizmos, it tells a valve to open up or close or do something.
Yeah, a lot of,
Or the temperature is too low, and so then
correct.
it automatically.
Right, so this processor, this here, this is basically just a computer. Now obviously it doesn't look like our laptops, it's an industrial computer. We write a program and we install it on here, and then we're telling, basically we use what's called a PCN. We write up exactly what we want the process to do, and sometimes we can automate it even fully. So an example, like you say, we need more flow. The program itself says, I need to increase flow, and it automatically does that. Now sometimes we can just manually do that depending on what we're trying to do. That's where the operations comes in to do that for us. But yeah, these have gotten a lot more advanced over the years, from this to this. The computing power is a lot better. That's probably getting kind of in the weeds with nerdy stuff, but that's what I'm doing. So yeah, this basically, it's an industrial computer, can fully control the process. That kind of...
Yeah, no, we just go to the HMI then.
Yep, so that kind of segues into the HMI. So what is an HMI? Human machine interface. So that's the actual process screen that the operation is sitting in front of. It's an application, it's a software package, and we basically design screens with all of the, say, field equipment, for example. So we have a screen that has 100 pumps on it, and that's the 100 pumps that are in the field. And that operator can then interface with that screen, keyboard and mouse, with this PLC, and then say, I want to turn those pumps on. And then it says to that, turn it on, turns it on. We get a feedback into the I/O, tells us it's on. And that shows up on your screen. The newer software packages, you know, like Roger said, that one that we're currently using is 25 years old, so it's had a long life. You know, we've got a lot of use out of it, but we're just kind of at the point of where we're at its limits. And then newer software packages, they offer us a lot better solutions. You know, especially when we're dealing with the newer PLCs. A lot of times the way you interface with them will have changed. So newer PLCs won't necessarily interface with older HMI packages, or you'll have to have some workarounds in place to try to do that. So, you know, we're at a point where we want to try to replace these things in kind to try to, you know, bring everything up to today's standards.
I have a question.
Yeah, please, question.
So when you install them, I know that, so you physically get them, and then you've got to do quality control on putting the new ones in, taking them out. Just how long does that kind of take? Because you've got the HMI plus the PLC. You can't use the old HMI with the new
Good question.
PLC, can you? Or
Right. So to physically change these out,
Right.
what we do is we're actually we work with the operations, and we are actually using our council electricians, and they're actually physically changing out the equipment. So we set up basically how can we do this. Sometimes we can stagger. Say if we have doubles of everything, we'll take half the equipment offline, mount this new rack in, pull the old rack out, and then we can move half the stuff over, verify it with the new program. And you kind of mentioned the old HMI. A lot of times you will have to do kind of a workaround. It works, but it's just not what we want to be.
no, you want to really.
So, and that's what we've done so far with the 2 at the Cottage Grove plant, the 5 at the St. Clair Valley plant. Our electricians and the process computer group staff and operations have worked together to swap those out. Just the hardware at this point. We haven't touched the HMI piece yet, but we will. So yeah, it's been, and these, like, here's an example of a wiring harness. This is basically, this plugs right into the front of the IL card. And our council electricians have made all these up, wired all these up. This one is actually for the Cottage Grove primary PLC that we'll be doing soon. So they have all these pre-generated, you know, they wire all this stuff up, and then they're replacing the hardware. I think there's a picture in here.
Yeah,
To show you. Go to the next one. Okay, so the HMI, we'll just to touch on this. This is an example. The screen that's being showed there, that's a screen from, I think it's Metropolitan. I can't read it, but it looks like the Metropolitan. So that's operations. They're looking at that screen. You can see where you've got the red and the green. You know, green is the pumps that are running, the red is they're off, and that HMI screen interfaces with the PLCs in the field. That's very rudimentary, but, and then on the right there is that's one of the current cabinets, I think that's at Metro, and that has, that is one of the PLCs that will need to be changed out as well. It's not this manufacturer, but it's another one.
What if you're going out to a lift station? Is everything on these gizmos that you can
Talk about the
manipulate the machinery, valves, motors at a lift station with the HMI from a laptop?
The mobile piece, so the electricians, especially for regional, they have the abilities to like kind of log back into the regional maintenance facility. I think their laptops have cell cards in them, and they have VPN capabilities. So they can interface back and kind of see things, but they work pretty heavily with the operations at the regional maintenance facility to do that. Now, the newer HMI package that we're wanting to implement, mobile is a big piece of that. You know, the mobile technology we've tried to do with the current one, It was never really designed for it, is what I'll say. It's like, you could think of a, laptop from,
Doesn't work with your
2000.
iPhone 14 or whatever it is. these
it
days.
doesn't work.
DOS.
Well, okay, here's a good example, how your TV has a 4:3 picture with the black things on the side versus a widescreen where it was designed to be on a widescreen TV. That's an example of what it might look, it's actually what it does look like. You have things that are chopped off because it wasn't ever designed to be on a mobile device. So it looks bad, doesn't scale well. Security's not great, that's another thing, which is a big driver for, SCADA security is huge. And we're very conscious of that, so.
Good.
So yeah, hopefully, and then actually regional maintenance, that we'll have the HMI upgraded as part of this project. So currently they're using Simplicity, we're using a different vendor. So that's another thing we're trying to do is also standardization across regional maintenance and the plants, because our group, the process computer group, does actually manage all of that infrastructure. So having a common platform that that we're all familiar with, and it sure helps with management, I know that.
Okay,
Schedule.
moving on. There are, as we said already, I think, about 150 PLCs within our treatment plant system which need to be replaced. And we'd really like to do this over a 5-year period. That's a very challenging schedule. And through a contract that this committee acted on in the fall of 2022, we put together a team which has developed design standards for the PLCs, the PLC programs, because we want uniformity throughout our system. And we'll be doing the same for the HMI software. But this team that we put together is made up of internal support staff, the group that Lon manages, and a national consultant that specializes in water and wastewater. That's all they do, water and wastewater automation and control systems. There's also a local company that has a national presence that integrates PLCs and HMIs and has great experience in integrating these types of systems. As well as on that team, we have the ability to draw on the resources of a local electrical contractor. So that contract is already set up in place. What we intend on doing then, we're learning right now kind of as we're going, how do we make this happen? So we've started out at St. Croix Valley, Eagles Point, and East Bethel to basically gear up. We're getting the work done. We're figuring out what works, what doesn't within our process system, and tweaking our approach. Mm-hmm. So it's basically, we're piloting our approach because we only have 17 PLCs in these 3 plants. Well, we'll have 133 more to go after that. So we're
Not too many.
not too many. So yeah,
Kickstarted.
what we'll do then is we'll split up into 3 teams with the same skill sets basically on each team, and so we can do concurrent work throughout the system. And that's what this high-level schedule shows. The beige area there, that's where we're doing design and pre-design, and we're well into the way on pre-design. The magenta and light green areas are where we actually want to be doing the work, and you see numbers on there. Those are kind of the numbers that we think we can do within a quarter for actually physically changing these things out. The items in green are capital projects that are going to be going on at the same time we need to be doing this. So how do we change this stuff out when this stuff is already for other project reasons being renovated within our treatment plant system? That's going to be a real challenge that we need to work through. But we'll get through it. So this is just a high-level schedule, and I heard you say, Mr. Chair, you like props. This is what I do, this is part of the schedule that I use on a daily basis to keep
I
track
think I've seen that in my nightmares.
of what we're gonna do. And this is just the left half of a larger schedule, so I keep that in my office. So, let me see here. The next steps, I think we can, oh wait, no, Eagles Point changeout. Do that. Lon, you can take this.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, this is actually one of the examples of a piece of hardware that we'd already changed out of South Washington County Eagles. It's going to have many names. I don't know if you guys are familiar with. It has South Washington County, Eagles Point, and
Cottage
Grove plant. So depending on what engineering document you look at, you might see a flavor of 3 of those things in there. But we just reference everything. At least in the prosecutor group, we say South Washington County because we like to use 3-letter acronyms, so SWC. So we started basically, this is the first PLC that we started with, and we were able to change that out in December of last year. And then, right after that, we jumped over to the UV system because we wanted to get that done before the UV season started. So we were able to get that one replaced. And then this says 2 at St. Croix Valley. Since this was submitted, we have actually done 3 more at St. Croix Valley, so we're up to 5 replaced at St. Croix Valley plant now, which is Stillwater. We haven't done anything with the HMI, but this is a really good example of the old PLC that was in there. Our plant electricians, we work with them, operations, and then we are able to install the new hardware. You can kind of see physically, less size, but while we're in there, we were able to, we also update things, so things that are maybe not code compliant, let's just say like a relay or a power supply, or maybe just things that are aged. So the plant electricians were able to go ahead and put the new PLC in, and then update everything to kind of today's standards. And then, let's see. Basically, the next plant we'll be touching will be East Bethel. We'll be heading up there actually next week, and we'll be swapping out a PLC there. And then once we finish the first 3 plants, we kind of, I don't know if the schedule set it, but kind of what I'm projecting now is probably July sometime. So at that point, we'll be moving on to probably starting up with the Metro, some stuff at Metro, and then Empire.
And that does get into the next step, so we can go to the next thing. Yeah, so the next step says we talk about if we're going to do other plants like Metro and Empire. We bought the parts that we need for these first 3 plants. We don't have a purchase order in place yet for the future work. And what we're trying to do is get a request, an invitation for bid out yet this quarter, so that we can get responses and get bids back and review those. And that would be for additional PLCs at the Metro plant, not all of them, but a good chunk of them. And then all of our Empire plant. And since this slide was made, also we've made good progress in our pre-design. We'd like to buy PLCs for Seneca as well. So that would be in the upcoming invitation for bid. We expect that to be of such a value that we'll have to bring that back to this committee for your consideration as well. So that's an important next step. When we did this a year ago, we found out that lead time issues were a big issue. Delivery time on the parts that we ordered were anywhere from 7 days to 257 days. So it was touch and go there for a while, but lead time issues could still be a problem there, so we'd like to get this stuff ordered in advance so that if we do still have lead time issues, that by the time we actually need to do the work, we'll have the gear. So that's an important next step. 2025, 2026, we'd plan to receive bids for all the remaining PLCs that we want to do on this project. And then next step also is to award a contract for a new HMI system, and that was the business item you had just acted on earlier, so. With that, I think.
We'll go for questions.
Great presentation, yeah, please, Councilmember
Thank you,
Seaver.
Mr. Chair. So you're gonna, are the PLCs that you buy, are they gonna be all the same across all the plants? Because you're getting one bid for 65 and another bid for the remaining, and maybe it doesn't matter, but it seems to me to have consistency across the enterprise. So everybody who goes and looks at them, people can interchange and go, this looks the same as the other plant, I can work on it or not, or are they, the guts may all be the same, but I'm just concerned that there are gonna be enough differences that people, between the two sets of bids, that it'll confuse people.
As far as what we're gonna be putting out for bid, it will be, it'll actually just be this vendor here, so it'll be, this is the model.
That manufacturer.
This manufacturer, so we'll be basically speccing, we want these processors, this, and then these types of cards, these types of backplanes.
With one vendor.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Yes,
it's very easy for them to say, we provide those parts, here's our list of and prices that we will.
I didn't want you to get multiple vendors across.
There are multiple distributors for that
Distributors.
gear, so we expect there will be competition,
Right,
which is important.
that makes sense.
Same manufacturer.
Yeah, same manufacturer, different distributor.
Right, and then, or did you ask something also about?
No, just the consistency of how they look and just so people, your staff can go to any plant and work.
And that is, that's a big part of when we try to do upgrades, I'd say, when I got here 10.5 years ago, you would see a lot of different, especially throughout the plant, a lot of different flavors of, let's just say, power meters, for example. That's a thing where the electricians have tried to heavily standardize on a few models, right? You don't necessarily want to go all the same model, but it's good to standardize, right? That helps with management, software licensing, the staff being able to work on the stuff. You can only I have to train them on this model, not 20 models.
Right.
So that's one thing that we've tried to do also. We'll be pretty much standardizing on this this manufacturer of PLC. It won't be 100% this everywhere, because it just depends on the part of the process, but we'll probably end up with a max of 2 is what as it says, we'll have
Two manufacturers.
2 manufacturers. So this one and one other. We kind of use them, but the main install will be this manufacturer. And that's beneficial for the process computer group, like for things, like I said, like licensing. Also, our staff is trained for programming these things and troubleshooting, as well as the one other manufacturer that we have. So, yeah, that's definitely something we're trying to do for sure. Anybody else have any questions?
It's more of a comment, but this time with the HMI, I'm very happy to see these upgrades in place, because I have worked and seen, I'm not going to name any government agencies, where there's a delay in this upgrade process, and they do not, the further out you get, the less likely they are to be able to marry with older technology. And so the sooner we do this, the easier it is. It only gets more difficult the longer you wait, and so I'm very happy to see this move forward.
Yeah, and that's knowing that is going to be the outcome, right? Where we were trying to jump on this and stage these together, right? Obviously, this is a ton of work, but
We'll have to do rework on the ones we've already done.
Yeah.
Because we haven't got the HMI yet.
But, we've got the contracted services, we have the expertise in-house, our process computer group is very knowledgeable. Like I said, we've changed out some of the equipment already, but we're able to still kind of interface with the old HMI. It's not great, it does work, but the newer softwares and the newer hardware, they're meant to talk together, and that they're developed together. That's usually how that works. But you are correct. The longer you wait, the farther things get out. It just, eventually they don't talk. So that's not where we want to be.
Other questions or comments? Fascinating. Keep us posted.
Yeah, you guys want to know anything more about this stuff?
Thank you for
Ron's
bringing
the
the
guy.
facts. I love that.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Next up. Project that's been in the works for a year or so. And we have special guests with us.
Yeah, the team.
Welcome to the Environment Committee. Greetings. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you.
Waste heat recovery project.
Yes.
Let's get going.
Mr. Chair, committee members, I sense somebody has an inkling of what we're going to talk about right
I
now.
do.
And others may have not heard about this effort yet. I'd like to first offer the group to introduce itself, but we are really excited to be here presenting, somewhat in the context of the last information item where this is informational and we hope to be back at some point with decisions to be made. We're not quite sure yet what or if those will be, so the context of this is an exploration, but we'll provide you with a lot of information. And I think in the learning we're all doing on this project, because it's really new in many ways, maybe questions as they come up, if our group is up for that, because we have brought the people who know the most about it to help educate our group here. So first I'll introduce myself and then we'll go down, then we'll start the presentation. I'm Sam Paskey, Assistant General Manager for Planning in the Environmental Services Division. And
Mr. Chair, council members, it's good to see you again. My name is Jen Kostrowski. I'm the Assistant Manager of Water Policy and Planning within Environmental Services.
Mr. Chair, council members, I'm Ken Smith. I'm the CEO of District Energy St. Paul.
Mr. Chair, council members, good to see you all. Russ Stark, Chief Resilience Officer of the City of St. Paul in the Mayor's Office.
Welcome.
we should introduce
Yeah. Also, I do want to make sure that credit is given where credit is deserved. Henry Holcomb has been my intern who has been helping and bearing a lot of the loads of keeping all of us coordinated. And so I do want to put it on the public record that if it was not for Henry, a lot of this work probably would not have been able to get scheduled and be done. So.
Thank you, Henry, on behalf of the committee.
So before we get too much into the details, I want to just actually introduce you all to waste heat recovery. What waste heat recovery systems are is an opportunity to start seeing benefits from energy that otherwise would have been wasted, whether it would have been discharged into a river in our situation, or potentially lost through stacks into the air. And so it's trying to find smarter ways to design our systems to get to that waste product and turn it into electricity. And so if you can see, I had an opportunity to hone my PowerPoint art skills with these slides. So you can see in this generalized example, there is some industry that is producing heat as part of its processes. You can run that heat through a heat exchanger, which can then, once that heat is taken out, the colder flows will return back to the industry. Sometimes they use that for cooling their own systems. And then if you look on the other side of the loop, that energy then enters a second system which carries it to create power from that heat. And then on the return, it comes back to the heat exchanger. So it's a closed loop system that allows for heat to be moved from one industry to another use in an efficient way. And through this, it allows for a lot of efficiencies happening within the industry as well. Specifically within this project, we are investigating a project that would be accomplished in partnership with the Met Council, the City of St. Paul, and District Energy, who is the heat provider for the city's downtown area, if you are not familiar. the City of St. Paul, this is a project also that is benefiting from just lucky geography. The City of St. Paul is home to the Metro plant and District Energy, which is allowing us to enter in partnership and try to find ways that we can work together to come up with new ideas. And one of those new ideas is this 60 megawatt heat recovery system that would pull thermal energy from Metro plant's effluent, prior to discharging it to our effluent channel in the Mississippi River. And then just right now, as we're estimating the cost, we're thinking this project is going to come in somewhere around $100 million. Again, my PowerPoint art skills have been put to the test, and so I wanted to make sure that we were just trying to give you an idea of what this project idea could be. So if you see on the lower part of the slide, that is a picture of the Metro plant. If you squint and hop on one leg, it looks just like it. We can put in a heat exchanger near our effluent discharge. The good news about our effluent is that we tend to operate 24/7 and we don't really run out of our business. And so the effluent is a constant source. And it does have thermal energy embedded in it. And so this is that opportunity to tap into that thermal energy, which also is a carbon-free energy source, to connect, if you follow all of the way down the red and blue lines, to connect all the way back up to the City of St. Paul, where our District Energy has their facilities. And once we plug that in, you can see that it will result in a lot of hearts and thumbs up in the City of St. Paul. So those hearts and thumbs up, what are the project benefits? This would be the first application in North America. We have seen some applications happening in Europe for this system, but this would be the first waste heat energy recovery system using effluent in North America. If we are able to just, again, as we're investigating this, we think that this project would result in the offset of approximately 50% of District Energy's annual heating load, which is currently provided by fossil fuels or biomass. It reduces co-pollutant emissions, so it's not just thinking of our reducing greenhouse gas, which is amazing. It also is taking some of those particulates out of the air, so that's improving local air quality as well. It causes minimal impacts to Metro plant operations. Again, we're still trying to sketch out what that means, but we're not going in to drastically change how we're doing wastewater treatment with this project. We are trying to build a system that can create co-solutions for both of our operations. It will generate revenue for the council, and so that is another opportunity. We would be selling this heat to our partners so that they could operate their system. And then lastly, it would position the City of St. Paul, District Energy, and the council as innovative leaders in climate solutions and heat energy recovery. So those are some of the wins that we were very easily able to generate when we were talking about this project. Lastly, to put this in alignment for what the direction of what we have been looking through for our policies. This puts us in alignment with the commitments and obligations that we had or have in the 2040 Water Resources Policy Plan to look at different technologies in our regional wastewater system that could provide co-benefits. And assuming you all are thinking about continuing that idea in the 2050 policy plan, that is up to you all as policymakers. We could be in alignment with that intent in 2050 as well. It is in alignment with our climate action work plan. We actually did specifically call out investigating these type of projects in our climate action work plan. And it's in alignment with the state climate action work plan for 3 different goals. So there's a goal of resilient communities, and this one helps support that goal. There's a goal of clean energy and efficient buildings, so we're helping to support that goal. And then lastly, there is a goal on clean economy. And so this also helps to connect with that goal as well.
Thank you, Jen. I've got a few slides, and then if there's questions, just feel free to interrupt. This is a really critical time for the viability of this project right now because while we've been talking for a while, suddenly a significant amount of funding has become available to projects across the nation that might be like this or support reducing climate pollution. And this project is a strong candidate for that kind of grant. The slide shows that the available funding is around $4.3 billion. And we are working with the City of St. Paul and District Energy to create an application for that grant funding. We have pretty tight timeline. The grant applications are due April 1st. And that's one of the reasons we're here today, in case we need to have a decision about what our roles are, and as we start to figure out contractually if this makes sense and pencils out, and we have the internal aspects sorted in time, we would need approval, of course, to move forward. So while we won't need approval from this group or from the council for the City of St. Paul to create a grant application due April, we would need one soon just to make sure that we could fulfill that intent. And we want to be in alignment with our policymakers, of course, every step of the way. We will hear pretty quickly too if funding is awarded. It's a very rapid process. The way we've structured our partnership is the City of St. Paul is taking the lead on the grant application to the EPA. There's some technical reasons for that about how many grant applications any one entity is allowed to make at all. So we have had to sort out what are the right ways to do that. St. Paul also, obviously, as Jen pointed out, contains both entities that will be participating in the technical piece, which is the Met Council providing heat and then District Energy taking that heat to its customers. We can support, from the Met Council perspective, other aspects of the partnership with the resources we have, like small business or disadvantaged business support, since we do have that capacity in-house, and whatever we can do to make sure this partnership is successful. There are some equity components that the EPA wants discussed in the grant applications and that we are absolutely interested in exploring as well. The shaded area shows some of the equity affected neighborhoods. Right now, equity is a potential aspect of this effort for the future, not the current implementation, because the district heating system serves largely the commercial spaces in the downtown and the Capitol complex and hospitals. But it would be, with this heat addition, it would be possible to serve beyond that. And Ken can speak to that if you want to explore that further. But it wouldn't be part of this phase one effort at this time. But as Jen pointed out, the benefits of reducing pollution and emissions near those neighborhoods would be an immediate and positive benefit. This slide says a lot of technical things. It makes the case that there's a lot of energy in the wastewater and the treated effluent that's cleaned up and returned to the river, but it's returned to the river warmer than the river is. So there is available heat in that effluent that is currently wasted, and that's really the business case for doing this, of recovering wasted energy and then using that energy to not use other kinds of energy for a cost advantage, and more importantly, reducing emissions by, as you can see on the slide, 30,000 tons per year. Ken can talk about the technical aspects of this, but it's, I believe, 60 megawatts per day is what you're talking about.
Peak, yeah.
Significant amount of heating that would carry St. Paul. And again, this has not been done in North America. It has been done in Europe, and this would be the first and largest scale application in St. Paul in North America. It's pretty exciting to be thinking about that.
Mr. Chair,
Please.
before you, can you go back? So if I read the graph right, I hope I did, it looks like the most potential energy comes in the summertime when the least is needed. Is there anything that we can do to capture that energy that doesn't have a need right now in your system?
I'll let Ken answer it, but I would say one of our strategies is generating electricity from the incineration train. So that's the number one job of when we don't need heating, we're trying to leverage that. As far as the thermal energy goes, if you have any thoughts, Ken?
Yeah, so, Mr. Chair, council member, the effluent temperature increases during the summertime, so that's in part what you're seeing is there's more energy available, but it's also when we need the least amount of heating. That doesn't say that you couldn't use more of that energy in the summer if you had process loads, things like that. So there's a potential to use more energy from the effluent and add to the load of the system. What we're looking at is up to 60 megawatts peak coming from thermal energy recovery. And as it says there, we can get to 90% of our load on an annual basis if we do that. So there is ways to use that energy, but it would take connecting up additional customers that could utilize that heat. And that's part of what we could do in the future, for sure.
Is there a storage system that you're using in conjunction with this that's pretty extensive, or?
Mr. Chair, council member, we're looking at storage integrated at district energy. Part of it, because the effluent's flowing 24/7, 365, there's not really a storage benefit. There's always energy there, and there's more energy than we need. What we are looking at is at the district energy plant, you can see that we have these peaks. So on the very cold days, when we get them, we haven't really had them this year, but when we do have cold weather, those very cold days, we're looking at integrating electric boiler because we wouldn't design the system for the peaks. We would utilize the cogen plant and electric boiler, and we're also looking at integrating thermal storage as well, hot water storage. We already do chilled water storage.
Questions, yeah, please.
Overall, I think this is really exciting. I think one issue that crops up for me is, given the location of Metro, there's an element of geographic inefficiency in where we are sending the heat to. And so, there are locations in St. Paul, the west side, Battle Creek Park, those neighborhoods where there would be an opportunity to reduce our costs in terms of maintaining that heat. So maybe that cost is balanced out by some other efficiencies that we're gaining. And so I'd be curious to hear what you have looked at in terms of that.
So, Mr. Chair, council member, if we could go back to the map. We actually do serve on the west side. You'll see the buildings, you can see them more clearly, and so we've got some work to do on this graphic. But you'll see the buildings that are highlighted in downtown area, kind of the orangish color. We do have buildings and infrastructure on the west side, and so there's potential to serve more buildings with the system. And because we utilize hot water, we can go actually great distances, even further than we're doing it today. So there is the potential to serve more buildings off of the hot water network. One of the reasons why we're highlighting this, actually about 53%, so over half of our network that we have in place today is in the shaded areas. It's not where our 50% of our load is, but it's where 50% of our infrastructure is. So we have the potential to add more customers in the future.
I would just add, if I could, council members, the District Energy St. Paul is the largest hot water district system in North America. And so the unique opportunity here is literally plugging the heat into a system that's already delivering heat to 33 million square feet of customers in downtown. Nowhere else in the country can do that today. And so I think you're absolutely right. Like, there's a potential to do even more in the future, which is exciting. And for now, there's this enormous opportunity to seize as much as we can with this potential first step.
And if I would add to that as well, so while it seems like we're moving energy from Metro into a downtown area to utilize it, the reality is we're collecting wastewater from 30, 40, maybe even 50 miles away from the metro plant to dispose of it. And so it's not a great distance. It seems like it's a great distance to move heat, but it really is not a great distance. There's a lot of systems in Europe in particular where they're moving wasted heat from industry tens and tens and tens of miles to utilize that energy again to decarbonize and also for the efficiency gains rather than using natural gas. Effectively, what we're doing is displacing the natural gas, and in the future, we could grow the load, but effectively, we're decarbonizing the downtown and the surrounding area. Any of the buildings that would be connected to it, we can effectively get to a decarbonized solution. Nobody's done this,
Yeah.
not in the U.S.
And I think, Mr. Chair, I think one of the strengths of the project is really the amount of emissions and pollutants that you're reducing by bringing this to downtown. And so I think that's a real strength for this project.
If I could add, Mr. Chair, just to give you an idea what 30,000 tons is. If we decarbonize 30,000 tons per year, that's the equivalent of 90,000 Teslas on the road. It's an enormous number. So we do think it's going to show well when you're comparing to all the other different kinds of projects that could come forward, just by the amount of decarbonization that could occur. And it's in a difficult areas. You've got 2 hospitals, you've got the Capitol complex. So you have a lot of buildings that's really difficult to decarbonize. And because they're connected to the system, we can achieve that.
On the climate pollution reduction grant, are we going for the whole kit and caboodle, $100 million? Is that the plan?
We
Go for it all, Russ.
We think it makes sense to try to get nearly, if not the entire cost of the project. I mean, there's some strategy there in terms of the, as you know, Mr. Chair, the number of grants that are going to be given at the various funding levels. We want to maximize our chances of success while also maximizing the opportunity. And so trying to find that sweet spot, I think, will be the last step in this exercise. Yeah.
There is no match requirement for the CPRG grant. And I don't know, I've been so different many meetings. There's one meeting that I was in recently where, because the applications are due April 1 and they're supposed to award July 1 and the money's supposed to be available October 1, that while the application or the NOFO indicates that they could do partial grants, the speed at which they're going to have to move on this, there was some indication that they may not do partial grants, they would just award the whole thing. So we'll have to wait and see, but having been a part of some other grants like this, there's a lot of back and forth, and that's not what they're talking about here. They're talking about getting this out and putting it to work.
Great. And if that doesn't come through, the $100 million, are we talking state bonding, or are we talking other federal grants, or to be determined?
Mr. Chair, council members, I will say to be determined. We do see the importance of this project, and we do see the time frame and just with the correspondence with the pollution reduction grant as being this opportunity we have to jump on. But if it does not work out, and I don't want to put too much energy onto that side of the coin, but we will continue to work together in partnership and explore different opportunities to try and find the funding to help make this happen. Because it's, I mean, I will say perhaps I've been working on this too long, but it seems, I am very biased, that this is a very no-brainer situation that we should continue to pursue and try to get this going. Which brings us to the next steps.
You just did the last slide.
I know.
Thank you. Just for closure, there is a slide that you may not have seen. We had just advanced that, did the questions, fantastic as they come. I should point out thermal energy recovery is done in wastewater in North America and elsewhere, but in North America at least not to any significant extent. It's generally pilots that that don't really move the needle on how much heat there is to recover. And this would be the first demonstration of something at scale, as Ken and Russ were pointing out. And I think from my perspective, which isn't going to mean a lot here in the EPA process, but it sounds like there's enough coming together that hopefully they find this a very attractive grant to fund, which would then bring us back here in short order on the next steps to say, we've got to figure out how this arrangement works and what the council can promise and be accountable for, along with its partner in District Energy and the City of St. Paul, and what does that business arrangement look like. But all that is yet to be determined. We're working on the technical aspects, we're working on the business arrangement, and we're working on the policy or governmental relation kind of aspects, all simultaneously as we go on a very fast pace. So with that, I think the next slide is additional questions.
I would think that it would be helpful that this is the first in North America, but also helpful that they've already done it in Europe, so it's a proven technology. And it's not a totally wild technology. Heat exchange, we've been doing that for 1,000 years, just not at this scale here.
Correct.
So, and do we have the legislative authority to sell heat from effluent?
We have consulted with our Office of General Counsel. Dan, would you like to offer some insight? You don't have to, we can paraphrase.
I don't know if you want us to.
Yeah.
We're on solid ground here, or do we need to make some changes?
Good afternoon, Chair and Council members. I'm Dan Abelson, Associate General Counsel. I think, so first there is some proposed legislation not on selling that's going through, but that would just clarify that this kind of heat exchange falls within wastewater treatment. But I think there's a number of different ways that the council can do this, and I think there probably is a workable way that involves selling heat. I mean, so a similar example, would be when wastewater utilities sell Class A biosolids, right? The biosolids are a product of the wastewater treatment, and the wastewater treatment plants are free to sell those biosolids instead of put them in a landfill. And in a way here, that's what we're doing, is that would be occurring as well, with selling the excess heat instead of just dumping it back into the river. So I think there's some good models out there.
Which benefits the entire region if we're getting revenue in. That decreases the need to increase rates for our municipalities. Other questions? Yeah, please, Councilmember.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just think I'm all on board. This is visionary leadership moving forward. Well aware of what City of St. Paul has done, well aware of what District Energy has done, worked on Energy Park and have worked for you. I mean, they're the best, in the nation and the largest. If they're not going to do it, I'm not sure who's going to do it. So I just look at this as an amazing dream team of setting the stage for moving forward as to how we should be going and how the Met Council should be leaping ahead and leapfrogging some things and pushing this out. I just liken it to, people can push a boulder uphill, but how can you drop the boulder and leapfrog and move ahead? And yes, it costs money, but we got talented people in this state, and District Energy, City of St. Paul, and Met Council staff really is a dream team for us to be leaders. And I know Anjali and I both went to Carleton College, and they put in their geothermal energy system, and everybody poo-pooed it, and they spent a ton of money, and the return on investment is a third of what they thought it was going to be, and now all the other colleges are following, and their goal was to be carbon-free by 2050. They're 20 years ahead of where they thought they were going to be, because they had a vision to just say, we're going to do it and find a way to do it. And so we need to find a way to support this, get on board, and help you any which way you guys can, that we can do this. Because this is why I want to be on the council for projects like this. So let's move things ahead and just you know, put this state on the map once again, all the great work.
If I
Here's my
might,
speech.
Mr. Chair and council members, if I think about a sustainable source of energy for our community, a downtown area, that plant and plants like it, but that plant in particular will be here 100 and 200 years from now. The waste, the infrastructure that's in place is going to be here, and the energy is going to be here. So if you try to think about a sustainable source of energy that's being wasted, that we could capture in the community, put it back to work in the community, by putting in heat pumps and heat exchangers and pumps and pipe, there's a lot of sense to be made by doing this. And it's hard pressed to find anything else that's going to be available in the community far into the future like this.
You make it sound so easy.
A lot of moving parts. The technical is the least part of this.
Exactly.
Technical challenges, yes, but a lot of us just coming together to make these things happen and figure out a way to fund it.
Well, I hope you heard the excitement on this side of the table.
Motivated.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Chair, council members, we're excited to come back and give you new news.
Yeah, it sounds like, I mean, do we need to approve? No, it's going through through St. Paul, the grant. So we're just letting
It's
you
all
take
on
the
you
ball
guys.
there. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, to be clear, yes, so we, just due to some complications that we ended up hitting, we did step back from taking the lead, but we will be coming to you all when we have to establish a memorandum of understanding between our different organizations. So there still will be steps that we will be coming to talk to you about, so.
More to come.
More to come.
Love it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I believe that takes us to the end, except for the general manager's report.
I'll be brief, it's hard to follow an act like that. I'm excited as well. I'm also gonna say that this is an idea that has been around that we were hoped that someday we'd be able to have a dream to. I can think of one particular person who retired some time ago by the name of Jason Willett that I think Ken will remember had a lot of passion about this idea of capturing waste heat from our effluent, and for various reasons that wasn't the right time, but now things are looking like it's the right time, and it's pretty cool to see that.
Agreed. And with that, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.